How can we break the silos in MCP servers and move from MCP servers to MCP agents? How can we move back and forth between APIs and MCP? We need to take in consideration two things. If we are going to implement in a greenfield scenario or in a brownfield scenario. In this video, I'm going to show you how to implement both cases, greenfield and brownfield scenarios. Let's check it. In a green scenario, you are going to start nothing else but with your Swagger specifications. That's it. Without any implementation at all. Just start the server, and we will see later, of course, how to implement the business logic. For now, start the server. Nothing relevant or fancy as of now, but let's check another feature that this happy server has. Let's now start the server with a flag, MCP. With that flag, we are telling happy server that we want to use the OpenAPI specification to provide the tools for MCP clients to communicate with the server automatically. So if we open here our Swagger UI, you will see that we have this MCP manifest endpoint. This endpoint generates intent-based manifest that can be used to start MCP servers from scratch as well when you are in a brownfield, but we will check that later. As of now, let's see that you have here the endpoints that you have in your OpenAPI specifications, and this file is automatically generated by Happy. The other endpoint that is relevant here is based on the specifications, based on the model context protocol specifications. You need to have an endpoint where the clients are going to communicate via HTTP, a GET and a POST. Let me show you how an MCP client can connect to the server via HTTP. In this case, I'm going to use VS Code. In the section of MCP, in the VS Code configuration, I have included an MCP server, the MCP server that we just started. Let's start the connection from VS Code to our server. And let me show you here aside the logs that the happy server is going to generate depending on the connectivity between the client and the server. So if I start the server in VS Code, this will send a request to initiate the communication to the MCP server, and the client communicates that everything is initiated. And from here, we are ready to request the MCP server to execute the tools. Remember, we have not implemented anything at all yet. Just the Swagger specification was enough for us to create the HTTP server, the MCP server, the client communicating with the MCP server, and that's it. Now, let me show you quickly how another MCP client can communicate with the MCP server. In this case, I'm going to use the inspector. MCP inspector is a tool provided by Anthropic, the creator of MCP. So here we have our server instantiated. Let me copy the URL in the MCP client to connect to this server and start the connection. Let me change this to MCP. Okay. Start the connection. We see the traffic here as well, same as in the VS Code. And now let's list the tools available in the server. And that's it. We have 4 tools provided by this server. And these tools were automatically generated by the Swagger specification. Let me try one of these, and we test this. As you see, we receive the request, and the response is generated. This is automatically generated because as of now, we don't have any code implemented. Of course, you need to add your business logic depending of your business case. Time to move to brownfield scenario. In a brownfield scenario, let's assume that you already have a server in production that is providing certain business logic through APIs. In this case, we are not going to use the Swagger specification, but we are going to use the intent-based manifest that we talked before that is generated by the happy server. In this case, intent-based manifest file was manually created, and in this, there are 3 tools provided by this server. Just simple tools. In this case, we can see that we have an uppercase tool, nothing fancy, but just transforming the string in uppercase. There is no input schema defined in this because we are going to use an external schema just to demonstrate how you can have separate schemas. You just define in the directory where you have your tool, you add the schema, and that schema is going to be used by the MCP server. Okay, another tool that we have here is the reverse. Again, nothing fancy, just reversing the strings. And in this case, the input schema is defined in the intent-based manifest in the section components, similar to OpenAPI specifications. And this is the schema that is going to be used by the tool, and that can be reused by another tools. And the other one is echo. And in this case, the whole input schema is defined in the same body of the tool. That's it. And then we use Agentico MCP server. With this Agentico MCP server, you don't need anything but just the file and start the server. And that's it. You don't need to code all the boilerplate that you need for the MCP servers. That is handled by Agentico server. So with that, we can start the MCP server. And again, we are going to use the inspector. As you can notice here, in this case, I'm providing the directory of the tools because the idea of Agentico is that MCP servers can share tools, and in that scenario, we can create agents with different tools. That's the reason we need to provide the directory of the tools that the server is going to use. We can just check again that we have the 3 tools, and these tools, we can test it here in the inspector, and that's it. You see that the call tool was invoked, and then the code was executed. You see, we have the directory with all the tools here separate. Each tool is isolated, and in that case, as I explained it before, the idea is to have tools that can be consumed by different servers. And in that case, we are going to generate agents. And in that case, then let the LLM invoke the agent, and the agent is going to be responsible to execute all the tools to achieve the goal. That's it. Let me know in the comments what are your thoughts about this. What are the challenges that you are facing with MCP servers and the agents? Go Rebels! Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and please don't hesitate. If you have questions, just let me know.